Well, I've come out 4 feet on each end, and I've covered everything across the bottom, the end of it. And now that little place there is 9 1/4. The other side's about 9, and that little place in there, I like to just mark it so I don't have to measure once. 5 3/4, and it's the same on the other side. So what you need to do is, since I need a piece 9 1/4 wide, you mark it 10 1/4 wide, and then you lay a straight edge on here and you cut it, and then you can fold back 1 inch and have a lip to staple it to, because that's how wide I need to actually go in the hole. I used my T-square because I could get on here and really collapse it to cut off that extra inch insulation, and now I have a tab that I can staple with. Could have made it a little wider. And you got a tab on both sides. You still got the vapor barrier intact. And now do one for the other side, and I'll do one for the corners. And it just worked out that the piece I cut off this one was big enough to face staple the tape on the 2x4, and as that expands it will hold that up against that edge, see? And this side's a little darker, but this one was the same cut because the building's halfway square, and just face to it and it holds the seam. Because as that stuff will, see how it's pushed out some on its own? Well, when I put the plastic up there in the plywood, that'll all disappear. But it will expand, and that will hold it up against that seam. And we're going to put plastic on it anyway. If you build everything on 16-inch centers, a 4-foot sheet of plywood will hit one of these 2x4s in the middle, and the next one would carry on to the next one. And just to make sure, I've measured, and from right there to right there is 4 feet. Well, I don't want to start over here, because then I would end up right there and have to cut that much off. And on this back wall, it's the same way. It's not 4 feet from there to there. It's 4 feet from there to there. So I can just cut 2 pieces to the height and put them on that wall by just cutting off one end. And you'll put one there and one there. And then you'll put one on the end 2x4. And the one I've got covered with paper. And then I will have to cut small strips to do the corners. It just saves on cutting, but you need to figure out where you're going before you start putting this stuff up. And once you hit these, since these should be on 16-inch centers, it would just be one every 3 2x4s. Well, it is a little dark in here. See what time it's getting to be. 4:15 on the East Coast today. And today is the 2nd of April. And all that is at least insulated. And as far as your little receptacles underneath there, you probably can't see them. You just cut out the paper, and I tuck the fiberglass down the side and around the back of the box. It'll be a tighter fit when you put the plastic on it. Now I've got to put some plywood on there. Well, it's Wednesday, April the 2nd. It's 6:30 on the East Coast, and I'm getting tired. I've put in a 9.5 hours down here. I have this 14 by 100 foot roll of greenhouse plastic. Enough to do the greenhouse I have at my house about 6 times. So rather than buy plastic for this, I'm just going to use it in here. Each 70-some inch piece I cut is 14 feet long, so it won't take too much of it to finish this. So anyway, that's the end. And that's a 4-foot section. I'm going to put a 4-foot section there, and then I'm going to put a center section in the middle that I can take out if I had to. And then I'll do the other end. So the next time I'm down, this ought to be all plywooded in, and the benches should be turned around. I've just got to put the outlets on those 2 wires, and put plates over them after I cut holes in the plywood. And then I'll be able to have my bench in place. But the next thing I got to do is build the pegboard frame.